for the lovely introduction. I am representing Micron, and just to gel with the agenda of the theme of the event, memory and storage playing the true role or as a catalyst for innovation. I am Rohit Sharma. I take care of the technical sales, pre-sales, solution architecting, post-sales, pretty much the entire technical portion for Micron in India as well as the SAARC region. A brief snapshot about Micron for those who are new to Micron. Micron is the only US based player in the memory and the storage space. We are the only player who is making end to end from a US soil, right from creating the wafer from our own fabs and then creating the end product, be it SSDs, DRAM, HBM, CXL, all those products we will see in the later on slides. But that end to end shift right from the silica to the end product is being done by Micron itself. That is the USP of Micron, and we take pride in our innovation DNA, kind of 60,000 patents and counting at this point in time. 13 manufacturing sites we have worldwide, and out of that one is in India as well, Sanand, Gujarat side. $37.4 billion revenue we clocked in last year, and kind of 53K employees worldwide. And even in India, a huge employee base we have in Hyderabad, Bangalore, as well as now a growing employee base in Sanand, Gujarat. Only a sales office here in India, Delhi as well. There are two brands that we have. One is Crucial, one is Micron. Both are internal homegrown brands only. And only from a supply chain perspective we differentiate them. Otherwise, the NAND, the other engineering and everything else from a technical perspective is the same. So both products made from the same kind of NAND. Only thing is from an end market perspective, the target use case perspective, who will be buying and using them, the kind of technical expertise that they have. Based on that only we have differentiated between the two brands. Crucial is primarily an aftermarket upgrade. The ones you will be able to deploy in your laptop and desktop. Once you have bought an HP and Dell kind of laptop and now you want to upgrade them, you will typically use a Crucial branded SSD or DRAM available through Amazon and Flipkart, and we have a huge market share out there. And then the Micron brand, which is bought by HPs and Dell of the world, the client grade Micron branded products that go into HP and Dell sort of OEM laptops. And the server grade products, again Micron branded server grade products that go into server, storage and similar data center kind of infrastructure. Then from a footprint perspective, we are spread across the world and our supply chain is diverse. In India as well, we have started our ATMP plant, assembly, test, marking and packaging. So right from where the wafer enters the manufacturing facility, the end product gets out. The end-to-end manufacturing gets done within Micron ATMP plant itself in India, Sanand, Gujarat now. This is the entire AI stack, and Micron is working at each of these layers. Right from the bottommost layer where you want the maximum data storage capacity to happen. For that we have our 6550 drive, which is 60 TB and yet a TLC kind of drive at this point in time. And it is an industry leading drive. Nobody else is able to create a 60 TB kind of TLC drive for a capacity swim lane and yet being TLC. Then on top of that you might want some other SSDs which will be very high performing. So from a high performance standpoint perspective, at this point in time we have our 9550 goes up to 30 TB kind of capacity and 14 Gbps kind of throughput. Then Micron 7600 kind of drive which sits in between these two swim lanes, the highest performing tier and the capacity tier. Somewhere in between that mainstream tier is being taken care by our 7500 series drive and then moved on to that 7600 drive now. On top of that you have expansion memory in case whatever slots you have on your server for your DDR5 DRAM, whatever 24 or 32 slots you have in your 2U rack server, if you have consumed those, beyond that you want DRAM in your server, then you will be able to utilize this CXL memory module. And this CXL memory module from outside or from interface perspective looks similar to a SSD, behaves similar to a SSD, but internally it is a DRAM built from a DRAM kind of component. So best of both worlds, kind of the industry which was looking forward to a storage class memory. This is the true storage class memory, and the entire industry from all the ecosystem perspective has been zeroed on onto this particular product only. Then on top of that you have your main memory, which is DDR5 at this particular point in time, your usual RDIMMs going up to 128 kind of GB capacities, and then the new form factor MRDIMM going up to 256 GB capacity and giving you 40% higher bandwidth, 40% lower latency than this. And on top you have the near memory, which is very close to your CPU or your GPU, the HBM, the LP memory and the GDDR7 as well. Again, from a performance standpoint perspective, the lowest performance at the bottom and the highest performing tier at the top. Again, from a TCO standpoint perspective, highest TCO on top and lowest TCO at the bottom. The entire range you are able to get from a same single player Micron Technology. And we do it end to end, right from our own NAND to ASIC to firmware, everything is being developed in-house, which is why a same single brand is able to cater to you from an end-to-end manufacturing perspective. This is the primary reason why you should be spending a lot on memory now, because CPU was never the bottleneck and is now also not the bottleneck and will not be, because the kind of growth that CPU core count is having is huge. You can see the blue graph from a system memory bandwidth perspective. It is increasing, but it is not increasing in line with the core count increase. The core count increase is pretty steep, which is why the bandwidth per core is minuscule, and you can see the graph on the bottom. In fact, in case you have created your solution with 24 core count server and a DDR4 3200 8.53, just to get to that level with 64 core count, at least you should be on DDR5 8800 speed grade. Then you will get to 8.8 kind of Gbps per core bandwidth, and for which you will have to go to an MRDIMM kind of architecture right now with usual AMD kind of because MRDIMM as of now is not with AMD, only with Venice time onwards AMD will start supporting it. At this particular point in time it is with Intel alone, Granite Rapids onwards. So with Intel only it is possible to use DDR5 8800 speed grade MRDIMMs. Then you will be able to get to the same kind of Gbps per core in your solution. This is the entire DDR5 portfolio that we have, and maximum in MRDIMM form factor only you will be able to go to 8800 kind of MTPS speed grade. Right now the mainstream speed grade is 6400, and we have recently launched the 8000 MTPS speed grade as well in usual RDIMMs, but the bulk of the market is still there at the 6400 speed grade itself, and should gradually move to, because they are all backward compatible. So in case you are designing any architecture, take the latest speed grade possible, and the older speed grades definitely get difficult to source from a supply standpoint perspective. From a capacity standpoint perspective, at this point in time 64 GB is the main SKU, and 96 GB has recently become the cheapest from a dollar per gigabyte perspective. So any solution created on 96 GB kind of modules will give you the lowest kind of TCO, and it will be power friendly as well. This is the entire portfolio from a storage standpoint perspective for the highest capacity swim lane. We are the only player who is able to go up to even till 2024 with 6550. We started with 30 TB and then we moved to 60 TB, still remaining at a TLC kind of drive, so that you are not worried about endurance, the life of the drive, the performance of the drive. It won't heat up too much like a QLC drive because it is still TLC. Towards the end of this year we will be launching this 6600 122 TB drive, still a E3.S kind of form factor, and this will be our first QLC foray, and next year mid kind of you can expect 6600 to come out with the other form factor E3.L, because so much capacity we were not able to put into the E3.S kind of form factor, which is why an evolution, and now we will be able to go up to 245 terabytes in a same single drive. Seeing this trend, and since we launched in 2018 timeframe only the first industry leading SATA based QLC SSD, and we gained a lot from there, which is why till now 2024 we were able to restrict ourselves to TLC drives only, and now moving on to QLC. We will be working a lot itself at the NAND level, so that we can come out with the kind of drives which will be half a petabyte plus from a capacity standpoint, so that there is no issue from a performance perspective, endurance or life of the drive perspective, and we will be calling it cloud storage optimized NAND, and then the SSD is created with that also would be cloud storage optimized. That will be a Gen 6 NVMe SSD, and there will be new kind of form factors also created for that, because the kind of power envelope also will increase very high. The kind of power envelope now at the highest level could be almost 70 watt per drive, although the drives in the beginning like 6550 or these typically are rated at 25 watts, and because of our power efficiency we will be able to perform the similar kind of industry leading results even at 15 watt or 20 watt kind of power ratio as well. And this is the 6600 that I was talking about, which is based on our latest Gen 9 QLC NAND, going up to 122 TB in E3.S form factor itself, and because it is a Gen 5 drive, that is why double the performance compared to usual Gen 4 kind of drives, which top out at 7 Gbps. This goes up to almost 14 Gbps. Then the next version coming kind of mid next year, this will take the capacity to 245 TB, and newer kind of form factor E3.L being introduced for this, and again the power factor also would increase out here, and kind of 70 watt power envelope would be there in those particular kind of drives. This is the mainstream drive 7600. Initially we had very successful 7450, we moved on to 7500 series drive, and then finally we have launched our 7600 series. There is a huge legacy that we have for this particular drive, and our QoS is industry leading at this particular point in time. 6 nines QoS we are able to offer on this, and again a Gen 5 kind of drive. And from random write perspective, 400K IOPS we are able to deliver, while most of the other solution in the market today, even in their performance class, they are not able to go beyond 300K, which is why this being a mainstream class, the in-between class drive can compete with the erstwhile high performing drive as well, even and from our drive perspective, and from competition side perspective, even the existing mainstream performance class drive, they don't go beyond 300K kind of IOPS, which is why it can compete with those drives as well right now. Then this is the highest performing drive from our side that will replace the 9550, and it will be a Gen 6 drive next year mid kind of time frame. Again doubling the performance, because moving from Gen 5 to Gen 6, the protocol bandwidth itself doubles, which is why 14 Gbps becomes almost 28 Gbps. From a random read IOPS perspective as well, right now we are able to give almost 3.3 million IOPS on a single drive. This can go up to almost 5.5 million IOPS, and a random write as well of 900K IOPS. Even on just one drive write per day kind of drive, right now we can go up to 400K IOPS in 9550. This will take you almost to 900K IOPS, again more than double the performance jump. And this will be the first drive that will support liquid cooling as well, because liquid cooling has taken its place in CPU world, GPU world in a big way, and now the entire structure should be right from the start compatible with a liquid cooled environment, which is why a new form factor again in this particular drive will support the liquid cooling as well, and because of that it will be able to give you way higher performance than the industry can anticipate at this particular point in time. This is HBM. All the GPUs, accelerators, they are being powered by HBM3E right now, the latest and the greatest at the market at this particular point in time, that are taking almost 1.2 terabytes per second. This is the next generation one coming in next year. That will take the notch higher to 2 terabytes per second, and it will double the interface bit as well. So from 1024 to almost 2048 we are able to go to. Then this is the summary from an AI standpoint perspective, high performance workload perspective. Micron is there everywhere. I have touched upon from most of the data center side perspective, but there is a huge technology shift that is happening just because of the LP DRAM making its way into laptop and desktop. We launched way back kind of a year or two back the LP Cam 2. This is the form factor which makes LP DRAM mainstay into a notebook as well, because LP DRAM earlier was being soldered onto it. This LP Cam 2 form factor is a plug and play kind of form factor, and you can remove it. So this has all the benefits of LP DRAM, which is why now you can see the advertisements of all the laptop or notebook players, they are saying 72-hour battery backup. All is thanks to this kind of technology. Similar benefit that is accruing because of LPCAMM2 in the PC world, similar SOCAMM will bring in the data center world, developed along with NVIDIA. This is on the same lines and allow you to take the same kind of form factor, at this point in time proprietary, but it will become the industry standard going forward, and then it will make much more use cases in the data center as well. And the last I would like to cover would be the automotive market, because wherever highest reliability or availability is required, there in Micron is number one. And for embedded, we have launched our 4150 AT SSD, a single SSD which will have quad port, so that in your car, all kind of systems, right from your ADAS to IVI to all other analytics, can be connected to a same single drive, because it is quad port. 4 different systems can talk to it, and it is SRIOV compliant, which is why it will be, you will be able to virtualize it and utilize it in all the different scenarios, so that you don't want a same single car to have multiple SSDs and become actually a server kind of frame. That's it. Any question?